What is up? And I am ready, and welcome back to another deck profile. In this one, we're gonna be. I decided, I'm gonna update and, you know, give the cubics a little more love because they are really a really not. They're a really underrated deck, and they're really a good rogue contender just to have fun at locals because they can just come and just straight up take games with ease. But let's get right into the deck profile. First off, of course, we have the three Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. Now, he is your big boss monster for the deck. Now, if you do not know what he does, you can special summon him easily by revealing 3 different cubic cards with different names. So, easy special summon. He's a 3k beater. Good boss monster. But he's unaffected by monsters whose original attack is 3,000 or less. So, he has immunity from monster effects from mostly everything. But here's the cool part about cubics. He can burn both you and your opponent during the end phase for 3,000 damage. Well, during your end phase. I will rephrase that. So, he basically puts pressure on board. He's great in time, and if for the right combo is right, you can actually hit your opponent with 6,000 damage. So, it's pretty cool. He's your big boss monster. Enough said about him. He's the one that you go into most of the time. The second, of course, now we have the main searcher of the deck. We have 3 Duzas, the Cubic Vessel. On summon, he can dump any of your cubic cards right to the graveyard, which a lot of the cubic spell cards and trap cards activate their effects. Well, have effects while they're in the graveyard, so you can just banish them and trigger the effects, which is really cool. And he also has a cool ability where he can gain 200 attack for each monster with a different name in your graveyard for that turn. I say if a monster was sent to your graveyard. So he's cool, so he dumps out your cards to your graveyard from your deck to start your combo. So he's basically your extra 3 Foolish Burial Goods for the deck. Next, we have 3 Vision. This is a good piece for a lot of your spell cards like Cubic Wave to give your boost. If all else fails, this is also a body on board that cannot be destroyed by battle. So you just set this, your opponent cannot get over it unless they pop it with a card effect or something. It's really cool. And then, if this card did battle, you can place it in the spell and trap card zone and give one of your opponent's monsters a cubic counter, which that means negates their effects and they cannot attack, which is pretty cool, which is really nice. Another form of disruption for the deck, most of course. Now the other cubic monsters we do rock, rock 1, Buster Gundle, the Cubic Behemoth. Now this guy takes 3 cubic monsters to bring him out. He becomes a 3,000 and he can attack 3 times. And if he gets destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 3 cubic monsters in your graveyard and then special summon him, so he recurs all your resources back if he leaves the field. And then you can add a cubic card from your deck to your or graveyard to your hand. So he brings everything back and he searches for you. And he's a 3k beater that can attack 3 times. I mean, that's really good. Then the last little combo we do is 1 Indoor Doomvolt, which is pretty much a 2400 version of Buster Gundle we just seen. Except for he cannot attack 3 times, but he does have that reoccurring effect from the graveyard and the search effect as well. And then, of course, 1 Giragile. He's great in time. Just tribute him off, burn for 800. Bam. And he has a way to bring back your cubic seeds as well if they are in the graveyard as well. But that pretty much does it for the cubic lineup of the deck, like the monsters. Now we have the honorary, like, the super cool turbo Summoner Monk. This is a way to get your rank 4 exceeds. Dumps your cubic spell or trap cards right to the graveyard to special summon right from the deck, your Duza, to just extend your plays into more. Summoner Monk is amazing in this deck. I love him so much in this deck. Like, he's busted in this deck. Now, for some cool one-offs, the one-off that I love is Morphine Jar. He's at 1. He can plus so much. If you literally burn through all your cards and your resources, and he is in your hand, and you set him and your opponent swings, you can plus 5 off in this card insanely easily if you have it set up just right. Yeah, you'll give your opponent some plus, but then you'll also ditch their entire hand in the graveyard. So definitely can plus super really good off in Morphine Jar. Really just a really card to go through. And of course, 1 Birdman. Amazing tuner to get in your Black Rose Dragon place. Definitely. Really cool. Can come out really easy as well. Just return one of your cards face up to your hand. And let's say start off your, say, Black Rose play if you would wish. Then, of course, now off to spells. The big one, Cubic Karma. If this card is activated, you can target one cubic monster you control. Send as many cubic Vijams as you control in any number of Vijams from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then that cubic monster gains 800 attack per each one. So you can buff up your cubic monsters big time, especially your big Crimson Nova. And then its graveyard attack, if this is in the graveyard by Foolish Burial Goods, Summoner Monk, or any other ways that we have ways to ditch our own spell and trap cards at the grave, you can banish this card from your graveyard and you can add a cubic monster from your deck to your hand. This card is a searcher for the deck when it's in the grave. So not only it can bump it up, it can search. Plus also that 800 bonus that stays on the card even if this card leaves the field, which is very important for a spice card that I do rock in this deck. I really like it. Cubic Wave is another impressive card. This card catches people off guard lots. Doubles one of your cubics and halves one of your opponents. If you give, you say, bump up your cubic Crimson Nova to 6,000, and then plus with the add with cubic karma, you're talking some pretty big numbers. You can get your big boy up to. Then if it's in the graveyard, you can banish this and any number of cubic monsters and give that number of cards that you banished cubic counters to your opponent's side of the field. So just a way to shut down their effects and so they cannot attack. Just more protection and more disruption this card can provide. Then, of course, as we've been saying throughout the entire deck profile, 3 Foolish Burial Goods. This dumps your karma, your wave, everything that you need to the grave to get things started. So definitely a good starter for the deck, without a doubt. Now, the cool spice, I was doing Twin Twisters for a while, but then I realized Cubic Wave, and Cubic Karma effect continue even if the card leaves the field. So why not use Parallel Twisters? You can send one other spell or trap card I control to the graveyard, and then target one card in the field and destroy it. This can become a MST. This can become a spot removal, just to get rid of a troublesome monster. And people think it might be a neg 1 because you're losing this in a card. But with this deck, you're gaining so much advantage off that other neg with the Cubic Wave or the Cubic Karma that it really doesn't matter. Because this, you can just set the Cubic Wave or Cubic Karma, pop it on, pop something of theirs, start your combos off. It's just another way to get the spell cards you need into the graveyard. With the added bonus of popping your own opponent's cards, of course. Forbidden Lance, your Crimson Nova is unimmune by monster effects, so Forbidden Lance helps with protecting it from spell and trap cards, because it's now big to have a 6,000 beater that can just be stopped with a spell or trap. So Forbidden Lance covers that, definitely. Then, of course, all darks, Lure of Darkness for sure. Definitely. Good draw power for the deck. Now, for some broken one-offs, one card destruction, just another way to dump those spell cards or trap cards you need in the graveyard to get things going. Definitely a disruption for your opponent as well. It can throw their entire strategy off. One Regeki, because Regeki, it's just Regeki. It blows all your opponents up. And now unlimited, but still only at 1 Dark Hole. You don't want to blow your own stuff up, unfortunately. But 1 Dark Hole definitely comes in really good if you want to be really disruptive if things are not going your way. So that rounds it up for the spells. Now we're going to go into the few trap cards we do have in the deck. Of course, we're going to have the Polymerization of the deck to get your Fusion Monster, which you never do. You mostly use this card for its graveyard effect. You can Fusion Summon a Cubic Fusion Monster from your extra deck using monsters in your hand or field as fusion materials. And then if a face-up Cubic Monster is destroyed by battle and leaves the field, you can banish this card and then special summon a level 4 or lower Cubic Monster from your hand or deck. So if a Cubic Monster gets popped on your field, you can just banish this and special summon, just bring back that resource. And then also it also gains immunity, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect that turn. So really nice. And then the good trap card that I always like to rock with this deck to combo off with Crimson Nova late game is Barrel Behind the Door. You taking that 3,000 is not always the best idea, so why not give that extra 3,000 back to your opponent? So possibly with this and Crimson Nova, you can possibly do 6,000 damage, which is pretty nice. So that rounds it up with the main deck. Extra deck, it's not really too important, but you really go into it because your Cubic Monsters do so much work of their own. But it's just the extra deck of generic stuff that we can do. Of course, because your Vijam is a level 1, do Linkuriboh. I say Linkuriboh is just a really good generic, it's Linkuriboh. Then we got our Exceeds. We can either go into a Clear Wing Synchro Dragon or a Black Rose just to blow up everything if things are not going our way. These are your level 7 options. I mean, if you have your own personal level 7 options that you prefer over these, go ahead, sub them right in. But these are my personal preference. Black Rose, I just like it because it just gives that option to just, say, nuke the board and get everything to a level. Say, rank 4s are pretty much the majority you go into. One-Time Teeth Redoer, really underrated card, really good in this deck. I really like it. Minstrel, the Symphony de Jin, just another Sky Blaster, just to switch those pesky attack monsters to defense mode. Then we got 1 Rebellion, just to get a big beater on board, going for your OTKs and pushing for more damage. Then we have Exciton Knight, just to blow up the field if your opponent gets too much, because unlike the Cubics against other decks can out-advantage this deck real quite easily, so to get on a very level playing field, Exciton and also Tornado Dragon can balance out the back rows and just the opponent's field in general to keep them in check for your Cubics to keep up with. So these two are definitely a really good choice. And plus, they're probably one of the best rank 4s Exceeds in the game. Now for your rank 10s, 1 Super Door, just to give protection to a card for return. Gustav Max, just to burn, more burn, especially with Cubic Nova, especially if you get 2 Nova out, you end your turn, there's 6,000. And then you can just overlay your next turn for this and just burn them for the effect the next turn. Then you get your normal, your 7 Sins package. You have your Pain Gainer, you have your Ravenous Tarantula, and you have your 7 Sins. These are a really fun combo to keep going into. It just builds and builds and builds up to a big 4,000 beater with, and plus their effects are really good as well. Definitely worth looking into with these. And then of course, to round off the extra deck, we have the 1 Crimson Nova Trinity. I mean, if you get this card out, you're basically just winning anyway. But this card is really insane. It has to be Fusion Summon. It's insane. It cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects. When this card declares an attack, your opponent's life points are instantly halved. And then this face-up card destroys a monster by battle. You can activate this card. This effect, it can make a second attack during the battle phase. Then if any effect damage you would take this turn, your opponent takes as well. So there's a big 4,500 beater that can half a light points. I mean, bam. It's insane. But this has been my updated Cubic deck profile. If you did enjoy, leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And leave your comments down on what other videos you would like to see. But hope you guys have an awesome day wherever and whenever you're watching this video. And until my next video, bye-bye.